cautious here.
Very cautious not to go into that front landing gear and use the rear landing gear bedding.
And there you have it.
Yeah, there we go, Miles. Go ahead.
Looks like we have a landing, Miles.
I think he did just fine there. That was, you notice how he held it off and then held it off a little more. That was a beautiful, beautiful job, by the way, a textbook job on precisely what you want to do when you don't have confidence in that nose gear. As it turns out, what we sort of had come to the conclusion as we were troubleshooting this ourselves from far away, that landing gear was down in box all along, and probably what caused the concern initially was the fact that it would not retract, and that is why that crew and we all went through this experience, and then, of course, 133 passengers have quite a story to tell as well. They're a long way from Chicago, but I'm sure they're very glad to be safe and sound on terra firma.
Riley, hey, listen, real quickly, Miles, I'm getting, and you can talk about this, getting from a source saying they were not, and this is someone who works in the airline industry, they were not attempting to land the first time. They called that a flyby so the tower can visually check whether the gear is down. You want to talk about that?
I think we've lost Miles, but this is another shot of the plane as it was coming in for a landing. And as Miles was saying, it seems pretty textbook as the pilot was really trying to stay off of that front nose gear because he wasn't indeed sure if that thing was locked into place. But man, what maneuvering this pilot really was able to do under a condition that nonetheless was very stressful after circling for over an hour and a half.
Let's talk to John Wiley. John Wiley's a pilot, and he joins us now. John, on the front wheel, we see, explain this what's going on, what we're seeing on the front landing gear of the plane.
Yeah, the nose gear. The MD-80 has been in service for a long time. American was, if they're not still, one of the largest operators of the MD-80 in the world. So they have a tremendous amount of experience in it. I flew the airplane for about 2 years. It's like a baseball bat. It just doesn't break. It just is a nice, simple airplane to fly. And those guys, as Miles said, did a textbook job. I mean, you put it down right on exactly the center line. So great job by the guys. What they'll do is they'll go out, they will put pins in the main and the nose gear to make sure that they remain locked, and at that point in time they may have taxis at the gate, or they may deplane the passengers and then tow the airplane to the gate to find out what the problem really was.
Well, John, you say that you have flown this plane before, and as we were looking at that landing, both you and Miles called it textbook. How difficult is that to really rely on the rear landing gear just in case that front nose gear is not locked into place?
Well, you always touch down on the main gear if you do it right. In fact, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to touch down on the nose gear first because it's not stressed for that. The main gear always absorbs the weight and the shock, and of course you're descending at what you hope is going to be a gentle landing, but it has to absorb the weight of the aircraft times about 1.2 or 1.3 on a hard landing, and so it's a good deal. He did a nice job, and he'll be able to be talking about it a little bit later on.
Hey, John, you know what we saw? It looks like he was really relying on the rear gear a little bit more, but also I want to talk to you.
Okay, there we'll leave it. You are just looking at the pictures there from Miami International Airport of an American Airlines flight of which there had been some concern about because of a problem with the nose landing gear. The flight had been on its way from West Palm Beach to Chicago when it was diverted to Miami Airport. 130 people on board, but as you can see, there was no need for the emergency crews to be